Welcome to Ask and Learn.
Hello, welcome to this lesson. In this lesson, we'll construct a truth table for these logics. So here we have a P, we have a Q, and we have an R. Okay, so we have all of them here. For the purposes of this lesson, we would select this so that we would not have to do it over and over. This is the base one, so copy that. Okay, so we are looking at P in the first place. Okay, then we are also looking at P or Q or R. Okay, so here P of V is true for at least one of them to be true. If one of them is true, then the P of V will be true. Okay, so here we have true. One of them is, all the two are true. So here we have true again. We have true again. Have true again. We have true again. We have false and a false because none of them is true. And here we are using this that we've had with the R. Okay, so that is true. Both of them are true. One of them is true, so that is true. Both one of them both are true. Both are true. So well, this one of them, then all of them are false, so that is false. Okay, so that is the first one. Let's go to the second one. The B, that is P or Q and R. All right, let's place the base one that we have. Okay, so here we are looking at this one. So we need P or V. P or Q. We need that. So looking at them, both are true. Both are true. one of them is true. So one of them is true, one of them is true. The P is false, and the Q is true. All of them are false, and all of them are false. Okay, so we are looking at P or Q and R. The end is like that the P or Q should be true, then the R too should be true for it to be true. Okay, so if the two are true, then it would be true, else it would be false. Okay, so we only find this and that as true, and that's when the end would be true. The end, that is where it would be true. Okay, let's go to the next one. Let's copy this one once again. Okay, so here we are looking at the C part, that is P and Q or R. Okay, so delete this one as well. All right, so let's go on. Now we'd find the P and Q. So looking at them, the only part that it would be true is when both of them are true. If one of them is false, it would be false. Okay. So let's pair that one with P and Q or R. So looking at them, this is true when at least one of them, one of this or that is true. So here all of them are true. Here the R is true. The R is false here, but the P and Q are, that one is true. One of them is true here. All of them are false, so it will be false. One of them is true, so it will be true. All of them are false, so it will be false. One of them is true, and all of them are false. Okay, so let's move to the next one. Here we have the D part, that is the P or Q or R. So let's deal with the P or Q first. Here we have true, true, for all of them are true, false, false because we haven't just one of them. None of them is true, none of them is true, so we false. Here we have, okay, we only look at the part where all of them are true. Okay, that's the only part we consider. Okay, so here all of them are true, so that is true. Here only one is true, so that is false. Okay, the next one of them is true, so just one, so that will be false. Here all of them are false. One is true, the other is not. That is a false, this is a false, and that is a false. Okay, so let's move to the next one. The next one is P or V, a P or Q, or the negation of R. So here we'll create the negation of R. So this will be false, true, false, true, false, true, false, and true. Okay, then let's look at P or Q here. This is the E part. Okay, so we have P or Q, that is true, that is true, that is true because one of them is true, that is true, one of them is true, one of them is true, one of them is true, both are false, so that is false, both are false, so that is false. And now let's look at P or Q, then and the negation of R. Here we are looking for, if all of them are true, then it would be true. If one of them is true, the other is not, it would be false. So here we have false and true, so that would be false. We have true here, we have false there, so that would be false. We have true here. Okay, sorry for that. We have true, we have true here, we have false there, so that will be false. We have true, true, so that will be true. True and false, so that will be false. True and true, that will be true. False, false, that will be false. Then false and true, so that will be false. Okay, let's go to the last one. The last one, F. Okay. All right. So that is the last one where we have P or P and Q, or the negation of R. So let's look at negation of R. So this will be false, and that will be true, false, true, false, true, false, and true. So looking at P and Q. So this is true, true. The rest are false. Okay, here we look for this together with the negation of R, and because we are dealing with the or, we expect this side and that side to at least be be true for it to be true. Okay, so you have false and true, so that is true. True and true, that is true. False and false, so that is false. True and false, true. False and false, that is false. Yeah, false and true, so that is true. False and false, that is false. False and true, that is true. Okay, so this is how it is. Thanks for your time.